Dr. Krishnamurthy. Dr. Chandra, please come. Please sit here. Put your face sit down.
So, how that damage has been done due to the British common law system to the Indian jurisprudence. That was the investigation undertaken, and I got these results. I could classify the philosophy of Constitution of India into social, political, educational, and so on. Now coming to the basic principles of Vedantic principles. So the Vedanta philosophy in nutshell can be expressed in terms of principal Upanishads, then Brahma Sutras, and then Bhagavad Gita. This is the three sutri on the basis of which we get that Vedanta philosophy. And how this Vedanta philosophy now gets reflected in the Constitution of India. For example, I can illustrate this way. For example, take the equality. What Vedanta says on equality. Concept of equality in Vedanta is very much comprehensive, universal, expansive, as compared to the equality as we found in Constitution. But the basic principle of Indian constitutional equality is just the same as Vedanta, but Vedanta is much more comprehensive. But in a limited sense, that is reflected in the Constitution of India. All human beings are equal. They are born equal. They live equal. Gender equality. No differentiation between male and female. All are equal. This is the basic Vedantic equality which is reflected in the Constitution of India, and we have done it. It is said that, rather it is the allegation, maybe true to some extent. It may be true to some extent that our Constitution is a borrowed Constitution. Yes, to some extent it is correct. But that was disturbing me all the time. It was my insight that no, it is not, though technically, physically it was borrowed to some extent. When I went to the European philosophers, Western philosophers, right from Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, what are their philosophies? Basically they are Vedantic in nature. That was found out. And went after Babasaheb Ambedkar, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and some other stalwarts. Basically, they are very much influenced by the Western philosophy. They were brought up in Western philosophies, but that was a strong influence on their minds. But basically, their minds were Indian, their minds were Vedantic. So when I went or traversed between towards the Western and European philosophies, I found Vedanta there. So the basic universal principles propounded by them, though on superficial level, they are Vedantic in nature. So therefore, even though to some extent the Constitution of India is borrowed from the Western countries, basically those Western philosophies, they themselves are based upon Vedanta. And therefore, my conclusion is that the entire philosophy of Constitution is Vedantic in nature, though superficially it seems that it is borrowed from the other countries or Western countries. So that was the conclusion that I reached. Then equality, then liberty. Freedom of will from Vedanta, Vedantic freedom of will, much more comprehensive, much more expansive. It is reflected in the Constitution, though in a limited extent. Then we go to secularism. What Vedanta says, there is a unity of religions, there is a harmony of religions. All religions are true and equal. Ultimate aim is just the same, going towards the immortality. I say it is a constitutional immortality. Vedantic immortality is a constitutional immortality. In the context of Constitution, what is meant by immortality? It is the development, it is the progress, it is the growth, upliftment, fulfillment of human being. so far as Indian context is concerned. So that is the national liberation. Vedanta says of human being liberation. In the constitutional context, it is the national liberation. Rashtriya Mukti. And that is what I term as constitutional immortality. And therefore this constitutional immortality can be achieved, can be reached, can be targeted with the help of Vedanta. Because Vedanta is the soul of the Constitution, is the spirit of the Constitution. And therefore my submission is that if the interpretation of the Constitution or any other enactment in India is being done on the basis of the Vedanta, we get the constitutional immortality, we get the individual liberation, we get the national emancipation. And that is the objective. And that therefore, these constitutional provisions are required to be interpreted in terms of the Vedanta philosophy, which is Indian philosophy, which is our own philosophy, which is in our blood. Why bother for somebody else? They are very superficial. Basically, everything got translated from Sanskrit. You say Japan, philosopher from Japan, from Germany. They have studied the Sanskrit. They have studied the Indian culture, Upanishad, Vedas, and propounded their own philosophies, which are basically Vedantic in nature. And therefore, it is possible to interpret this constitution on the basis of Vedanta. For that purpose, I call this whole process as Vedantization of the Constitution. I have termed it as a Vedantization of Constitution. And if this is done at all levels, say executive, parliament, legislature, judiciary, lawyers, advocates, law students, then that will result into purity of legal justice. Not only legal justice, social justice. So that will act the process of purification of entire legal system on the basis of Vedanta. Quality of justice will be ensured much more. It will be enhanced. Indian judges should be trained in Vedanta. So you get the real justice that is contemplated in Vedanta. And therefore this is required to be done. Legally it is feasible to amend the Constitution if necessary. Constitution may be amended for that purpose. And another significant conclusion is that when Vedantization is there of the entire legal system or entire social order in India, then there is a possible to get, it is legally, socially possible to see that entire caste system on national basis is required to be abolished. No caste in India. Only religions are there. Various religions are there. They are working their way within the constitutional setting. So the abolition of entire caste system on national level is feasible by making a suitable amendment to the Constitution. I have suggested that amendment in the legislation. Now, the Indian people who are laboring under the westernization, the Indian philosophy can be taken help of first to interpret the Constitution. For that purpose, Article 367(1) of the Constitution is required to be amended. People may say, some of our people, I don't want to name by designation anybody, some of the people may say that it is not possible. What a Vedanta? It is not possible to bring Vedanta into the Constitution. I say they are ignorant. I don't want to criticize them. They have to appreciate it. What is meant by Indian philosophy? What is Indian culture? What is harmony of religions? What is secularism? They should learn, they should understand it, and they should appreciate it. And if this is properly appreciated, then they may agree with me. Yes, it is possible to interpret Constitution on the basis of Vedanta. Because what we are following last so many years, more than 150 years, that is a British common law system, which is very much foreign to us. It is not indigenous. We are still slaves of that foreigners. When everything is out with us, we can use that because that is in our blood. That cannot be taken away by anybody. But unfortunately, this is not being done. So for that purpose, amendment to the Constitution is legally feasible, socially feasible, politically also it is feasible because the majority vote is there. They can amend the Constitution. By amending Article 367.1 of the Constitution, it is possible to introduce that element of Indian philosophy officially, legally, into the body of the Constitution, so that our judges can take help of it. Today we do respect to them. They are very much legalistic. They are not socialist. They are very much legalistic. Very hyper-technical attitude and approach is being taken, which has damaged the Indian society. And therefore the solution lies in Vedanta, because that is ours. So that is the sum and substance, or the highlights of my research. I think some of people may or may not agree, but this is the humble submission. If we really go to the root of the problem, we can get the solutions.
Thank you. You are a very good person who read the whole of your thesis, all two big books, line by line, paragraph by paragraph. I want to congratulate you because it's such a thought-provoking thesis. Not only thought-provoking, but I'm sure that it is what your suggestions are, which are contained in the highlights, if they are implemented by a law commission and the government's legal ministry, law ministry, then the change of the Constitution of India surely can be brought about. And I want to add, it's not simply Vedantic philosophy. All of us present here are Aryans. It is ancient Aryan philosophy.
Yes, I mean that only.
Yes, I know you mean that only. I know you mean that only. That's by using the word
Well, I made that
Vedanta.
point in my thesis.
I know, exactly. By saying the word Vedant, it sometimes irks somebody who belongs to other groups.
I agree.
You see, because Vedas are mostly associated with the Aryans who came from North India. And India has also got South India with the ancient Lemurian civilization. But that also has the same philosophy, because the philosophy comes from the divine universal natural laws, and that's applicable to everybody. So let me congratulate you for your wonderful yes.
We are sending one copy to Narendra Modi. He has accepted.
I hope that Narendra Modi has got the common sense to pass it to his law minister and says implement it.